I start something, then completely forget what it was. I open at least 20 tabs, none of them get finished. I scroll for dopamine on social platforms, but end up wired and empty. Apparently, I have ADHD. Also, anxiety, burnout, sensory overload, maybe a bit of autism, and a hidden genius complex. At least that's what the algorithm tells me.
When did you realize this was a real problem? And what's your message to those out here listening today?
My wake-up call is when I almost ended my life. And when I went to the psych center, they asked me about all other forms of wellness, sexual wellness, physical wellness, but not digital wellness. And I was spending between 10 and 12 hours a day.
Let's start with something simple. When was the last time you sat with your own thoughts? No music, no scrolling, and not a single notification popping on your screen. We're constantly reaching for our phones. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. Checking emails, texts, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Half the time, it's not even us reaching out. It's the apps pulling us in. Ping, someone liked your post. Ping, your shopping cart is waiting. Ping, we thought you might like this video. It never stops. And in the middle of all that noise, at some point, we start wondering, why can't I focus anymore? That question doesn't come out of thin air. It comes from living in a world where your attention is pulled in 10 directions all the time. I just want to unpack that because honestly, this might be something we're all feeling. What happens when your brain, which is wired for focus and quiet, is bombarded every second? It gets tired and overloaded. It's not broken, it's just out of breath. Back in the day, media was slow. We had books, shows that aired once a week, and radio with long pauses. You'd flip a page or wait a week for the next episode. Now it's like the content is chasing you. Every second, something new pops up. TikToks, reels, ads, reminders. It's not just fast, it's nonstop. And it's not really asking for your attention, it's demanding it. Your brain wasn't built for that. Neuroscientists call this constant flood of stimulation a dopamine feedback loop. Every swipe, every ping, every video gives your brain a tiny reward. It's the same chemical involved in motivation, habit formation, even addiction. And over time, your brain starts craving that next hit, even when you're not aware of it. Instead of learning how to focus deeply, we've been practicing how to switch gears constantly. So when we try to sit or stick with one thing, it feels almost impossible. It's not that we've lost the ability to focus, it's that we're constantly being interrupted. And when that happens all the time, it starts to look a lot like ADHD, even if it's not. There is a name for this attention style. It's called scanning and shifting. It's when your brain learns to constantly bounce from one thing to another.
When asked about the impact of social media on their body image, 46% of teens 13 to 17 said that social media makes them feel worse.
There have been a few studies recently that looked at what fast-paced media is actually doing to us, and it's kind of eye-opening. One of them followed over 900 people and found that the more chaotic, high-speed content someone watched, the more distracted and impulsive they became. Another found a strong link between social media addiction and inattention, the kind of mental drifting that's also common with ADHD. Just that one trait explained more than a quarter of the problem. So if your brain's feeling scattered, maybe it's not you, it's just too much digital noise all the time. In other words, tech didn't just hijack your time, it hijacked your attention. Search ADHD test on TikTok and you'll find thousands of videos claiming to tell you if you have ADHD. About 92 of those videos aren't even accurate, but they still blow up because they are quick, they hit home emotionally, and they sound like something you felt before. And that makes them way more clickable than anything grounded in real science. And now some apps and websites are riding that wave, offering quick ADHD tests or instant diagnosis right after the scroll. Some of these platforms push quizzes that look official but are really just marketing tools. And that's the problem. When an algorithm decides what feels relatable and companies jump in to monetize that moment, it creates this loop where everyone starts feeling like something must be wrong with them. That's why we need to clear the air about what ADHD really is and what it isn't. Let me pause here and be clear. ADHD is legit. It's not just about forgetting your keys or zoning out in a meeting. We're talking about a condition that impacts how someone functions across their entire life. School, work, relationship, the whole thing.
Trying to get my brain to focus on anything I wasn't excited about was like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall.
To be diagnosed, the symptoms have to be consistent and cause significant impairment. That's why doctors use a special screening assessment for ADHD. It helps them figure out what's really going on. But not all diagnoses go through this process. And that's where it gets tricky, because when the process gets rushed or blurred, it becomes even harder to tell what's really going on.
I was tired of putting more effort into life than everyone else.
Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Girls and people of color don't get diagnosed because their symptoms don't fit the loud, hyperactive stereotype we usually think of. Meanwhile, people with more money or access can sometimes get diagnosed fast, even if it's not totally clear-cut. So what do most people do? They turn to the internet, try these quick quizzes online, and then say that they have ADHD. This part gives me hope. Your brains can rest. In Germany, researchers asked people to stop using internet on their phones for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. And guess what? Their focus improved, their mood got better, and they even reported sleeping more. Time also reported something similar with kids. Too much screen time was literally changing parts of their brain that deal with memory and learning. But brains aren't static, they adapt. So when you take a break from overstimulation, go outside and move your body, slowly things start to shift. You just need to give your brain some breathing room.
So when we show up for a meeting, or we sit down for dinner with our families, and we put the phone on the table, it sends a psychological message to everyone sitting there that you are not the most important thing to me right now.
Let's call it what it is. Apps like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook aren't just random feeds. These platforms are deliberately engineered to manipulate attention, not to inform, not to entertain, but to exploit reactions and keep users engaged for as long as possible. Harvard researchers found that these algorithms don't just respond to your behavior, they amplify emotionally charged content because that's what performs best. So when a video nails exactly how you feel, it means the system behind your feed knows exactly what will keep you watching. If your attention span feels fried lately, you're not the only one. I caught myself scrolling past the same video 3 times before I even realized I'd already seen it. That doesn't mean something is wrong with us. It just means our brains are doing their best in a world that never shuts up.
Yammering on their phone, or they're like this, and I want to slap them across the face and say, just put that damn thing away for a few seconds.
So yeah, take a breath, notice the noise, step away when you can. Try unplugging for a day, even just a few hours, and see how your brain feels. And remember, sometimes it's not ADHD. It's just what happens when your brain's been online too long. Thanks for watching.